Get started? Yeah.
Yes, let's start.
Fantastic. All right. So, what do we have for today's session? So, we'll be looking at mastering ChatGPT/Gemini and looking specifically at something called prompts and prompt engineering. You might have heard of it. There's a lot of different ways of looking at it. I'll try and distill the simplest way that I could come up with. And the original title of this was Mastering ChatGPT. I had prepared the syllabus of this 3 months ago, by the way. And but as of Jan 18th, 2026, Gemini currently is the leader. And you'll probably hear this a lot from me, as of so-and-so date, because I'm very careful with statements now saying, this is the best, use this, because literally tomorrow I could just end up saying something else is better. But by and large, everything I'll cover today, both ChatGPT and Gemini have some equivalent of it. They're very similar at the moment. And it's kind of a TikTok right now between Gemini, ChatGPT, and other AI platforms that when one of them comes out with a feature, the other follows it in a couple of months. But right now, Gemini sort of has the whole package of text, image, video, and a couple of other things as well. Okay, so the way we'll run through this today's session is I'll try and cover and showcase as much of the features of Gemini and the way I actually use it. I'll show you how I go through and think through prompts as well. And we'll take some strategic pauses where I'll ask you to do the same thing and kind of follow along. And we'll try and keep this within an hour and a half. There might be some content towards the end which might push into the next session, which is okay, because we definitely have a lot of upcoming time as well. But I do want to take some questions. So like the last time, we'll spend time doing some live Q&A as well, right? So I hope that's good for everybody. And we have a fairly good group of around 220 people today. So that's fantastic to see everyone deciding to learn something on a Sunday. Very proud of you guys. Not everyone would do it, so hold on. Okay. Just a recap from last time, we are seeing a good group of people. Some of you are just joining in. This is a repeat of last week's slide, but a lot of you are leaders, directors, product managers across different large companies and different places around the world. And so, this session is trying to get some of the use cases that hopefully you'll put that to use in your work and your personal lives as well. And for those who are joining in fresh or you don't know me yet, this is me. Long story short, I lived in multiple countries across the world. I'm also from Bangalore. Spent a good 8 years in Australia, and I also teach in other places. Like I'm a speaker at London Business School and Carnegie Mellon University. And I also am the founder and CEO of Quantana. So we're now 97 people strong. We work across different companies, different projects, different industries, etc. Just as a quick indicative thing, we have been working with a range of industries, some Fortune 500, some companies you might recognize as well, and have built a lot of expertise in different custom solutions, and of course doing a lot of work with AI right now. And before I get into this session, specifically about how we're using AI and prompts specifically, you'll see a lot of companies doing software that uses AI or using AI tools, etc. But there's sort of 3 projects that come to my mind that led me to really focus on prompt engineering and how we think about it. So the first one is custom GPTs. There's one project we're working on where we're sort of converting all of the wisdom of a specific business owner and converting them into SOPs that get saved as gems. And so they're reusable assets that allow any employee to quickly get onboarded and learn about that particular division. So whether that's the industry analysis, the P&L analysis, etc. Right? So this is something that we are actually writing the prompts for, and we do literally prompt engineering as a service. So that's one sort of use case for that. I've been working with another founder in building master prompts for deep research. Just as a preview of that, this effectively reduces about 3 to 4 weeks worth of research time into about 45 minutes. And it's a single task. We sort of had multiple one-on-one sessions to really set up the multi-step master prompt. And once it runs, it's able to give great output in a very short amount of time. And we've also been building voice agents for things like customer service, callbacks. We're partnered with Practo in the Middle East to handle callbacks for a hospital chain. And a lot of experience has we've sort of picked up in figuring out the nuances of how prompts work with different AI models, and making sure we cover as many edge cases as possible. So I just want to preview our experience in this and why I believe that there's a lot of good learning in this space and just trying to figure out how to write good prompts. Okay. Don't worry about the information overload at this moment. Some of you have seen the slide before. This is the car analogy. I'm just repeating this because I see a lot of new faces in today's session. But basically, when somebody says, I want to learn AI, the way I hear it is, I want to learn cars. So what does that mean? If you want to learn AI at the lowest level, that's like writing the engine or building the engine of a car. At the next level, it's the prompts where you're working with the AI model, but you're just sitting one level above and you're not worried about the engine itself. And the one level above is the application where you're using the tool to get certain outputs. And then the final level is something I call invisible AI, where it kind of just works. You don't care about the underlying tool. So if you were there in last week's session, there's a tool that we talked about, Handy. So it's a dictation tool. It's becoming a big trend to use voice, and OpenAI is going to be launching some hardware projects as well, products using voice, because that's clearly the future. I mean, we can speak a lot faster than we can type, and just using voice just accelerates that. Now, we spoke about using these sort of dictation tools. We looked at Notebook LM for generating outputs like reports. So today we're going to spend a little bit more time on this level. So really understanding what makes a good prompt, how to use it, how to think about it to get the maximum output from tools like Gemini and ChatGPT. Okay. Okay, so prompting. What is prompting? Now, you might have heard of the term prompting, prompt engineer, etc., right? Now, not to overcomplicate it and try to really simple, prompting is just giving instructions, right? You're all leaders of something, you've led teams. You're no stranger to giving somebody instructions, right? If you guys have cooked and trained somebody to cook the same way you do, congratulations, you are a prompt engineer. That's pretty much how I look at it. It's just the ability to give very clear instructions to anybody. In this case, it just happens to be an AI model. So the way I look at prompting is that you're not just writing text to something. You're actually managing an intern, a super smart one, right? So most people that I see when we start using AI, ChatGPT, LLMs is saying, just give me this information, right? Just return me something, or just takes this text and summarize it, right? So there's a lot of things that AI can do with that, because you're just saying give something, take something, etc. Whereas I look at LLMs and Gemini as sort of the super smart MBA intern. So they've been trained on some of the world's best practices. They've in fact memorized the entire Wikipedia, the entire libraries, pretty much all the best books of all the business managers, medical books, encyclopedias. They've just memorized all of that and are accessible to you on your phone, on your laptop. But as an MBA intern that you might have just hired, they have no idea about you or your business. They don't know anything. It's day zero. It's minute one of their job. They've just come fresh out of campus, and then you ask them to do something. Imagine on day one, when you graduated from your institute, your boss comes to you and says, "Oh, create a presentation." You'll be like, "What?" And then they might be helpful by saying, "Oh, here's a 400-page PDF. Please convert that into a slide deck." So your first question is going to be, sorry, who is this for? What are we trying to get out of this? How long do we have? What, all sort of things that you as a normal person who needs to do this job are going to ask. And this is something that AI is also needs to know to do the best job. So think about it that way. Like when you're giving the instruction, you don't just give a contextless task. You actually give as much information that's in your head to the intern AI model to do the best job that it can. So in any sort of delegation, effectively what you're doing is delegating your work. You're either creating slides, you're summarizing something, you're generating images, you're delegating that work, something you might have done or somebody else on your team might have done, to an AI model. And any delegation requires context. And this is one of the most important takeaways. If nothing else you take away from today is just the fact that you need to give as much context as possible. And some of the best leaders I know just do this intuitively. I'm sure you do this at work. You instruct people in a very helpful, handy way. So that's just something that you should be doing when it comes to this as well. Okay, so we'll come to how prompts work and how to write prompts. But this is sort of the main lesson of how LLMs think. Now, LLMs, these are large language models. These are just predicting the next word. Now, for example, if I say the capital of France is, and somewhere inside this AI model, there's a lot of maths happening that just says the next word is Paris. It could be it could be the capital of Paris. France is the biggest city in Europe. Something like that, right? But statistically, it's probably going to be Paris. And you can see I've generated the slide using AI, so the numbers aren't matching up, but you get the idea. Now, this is also why hallucination happens, right? Great example of hallucination. It's just literally just trying to complete it. It's simultaneously a super smart MBA intern and also a 7-year-old kid who is just trying to make you happy, right? It's just trying to tell you that it can speak, and it's just trying to make sure that you don't feel alone. So it will tell you something. It does not care whether it's true or not. At least this is how base LLMs work, and this is something that you can see will play out in creating prompts and using research, etc., to make that hallucination step a lot less. And also when you're using LLMs and creating prompts, the order is also very important. We had a question last time saying that why do we need to structure a prompt in such a manner? It's because it's also auto-completing, and it's using the previous context of what it's generating in future text. So the order of your prompt and your output is also very important. Yeah. Okay. So just to sort of get the ball rolling, and of course this is meant to be interactive. Like I said, we're going to spend probably another hour and 10 minutes on just the slides and some sort of work, and then we'll open up for Q&A. So just to kind of get the ball rolling, why don't you guys all just open up Gemini and just type in, just for the sake of understanding, write an email. Okay, so just ask it to write an email, right? I'm kind of taking the worst possible example just to see how, you can see that even without any context, AI is going to try hard to give you an answer, right? So I'll just wait a minute. Everyone just go ahead and just type write an email. And just give me a thumbs up when you're done. If I see another tsunami of thumbs ups, then I will move on. So the address is gemini.google.com and write an email. Okay, so yours should look something like this. Now, AI has gotten a lot smarter. It realized that it doesn't have enough context. Earlier, AI models would just try and write something, but you can see even then, it has said something like subject following up with hi name. I hope you're having a good week. It knows what a good email looks like. I'm reaching out for following up on something. Your name. It doesn't even know who I am, right? It could have filled it out with me, but it tried, right? It gave a genuine attempt, and it also knows to ask a few questions. And if you see really professional AI prompt users, they will actually ask the AI model to ask you questions so it can do a better job, but now this is being baked in. Okay, so that's pretty much it. You can see that it's written an email. The takeaway is, even with zero context, it gives you something that you can act on, right? So now let's look at what a good prompt would look like. Okay, so this is a 5-step or a 5 structured prompt. Effectively, there's multiple layers, but the most important ones are pretty much at the top till the end. So there's role, there's task, there's context, there's format, and some examples. So now I'll just explain each of these step by step. Role, if I take the email analogy, it will be something like, you are my senior brand communications manager. You are the world's best growth sales manager, right? So I'm giving it a role so that it knows what it should act like, right? So it can be anything, but I want you to be this. I want you to take the soul of somebody really good and write like that. So that's the role. The second one is a task, and this is fairly straightforward. You can say create an email, create a blog post. If I didn't say write an email, I could have said write. It will still try and write something. All right, now this is probably the one that 90% of people miss, and even regular users keep forgetting this, but context. So when you're asking the AI model to do something, always give as much context as possible. And these are things that you take for granted that might be very obvious to you. And if you're sitting in a team of 10 other people and you've been working on a project for weeks, it's all in your head. But the AI model, like I said, super smart MBA, no context, it won't know anything. So as much as possible, fill this out with, who are you writing this for? What do they need to know? What is your action out of this email? What would make you happy? What would make them happy? You can even be giving context like, oh, for the last 3 weeks, the project is not going well. So in this email, I'd like to stress on the positive things, whatever it is, right? So give as much context that you think that you would have given another human being who's just joined your team. And that's very, very important. Most people might just say, write an email and leave it at that. And then finally, the last 2 things at the bottom, wherever possible, give it a format. Again, you can say how long you want it, what kind of language that you want, any bullet points or not bullet points, speak like this, don't speak like this, etc. Right? So be specific with that format. And if at all possible, and this is probably the most powerful way of prompting, is give examples. So like the way LLMs work is, if you give an example, it will try and recreate that as well as possible, matching with everything above, right? So this is what we call a few-shot prompting. There are 0-shot prompting, which is just write an email like this, but a few-shot, you can give one example. If you can give more, that's fine, but even just one example is extremely powerful. Now, the way a professional prompter would probably do is first create a first version, then manually tweak it, and then use that as an example for the next email. So let's just go back to our Gemini email, and now let's say I'm going to go through the process of role, role, task, context, format, and example. And I'm just going to ask it to fill this out. And you can see here that nowadays it's going to ask you who is the recipient, what is the purpose, all of that. It hasn't given any email, but it kind of just gave me enough context. So let's just say write an email to a friend that I haven't met in a while. So this is another IIM Bangalore alumni, and let them know that I am now conducting a series of AI master classes. Write like the world's best marketing manager and an amazing storyteller, and mention that these master classes are helping social causes at IMBA for good, and that they should be sharing this graphic with their network. Keep this casual, friendly email, and yeah, create a draft based on that. Maybe that was handy. As you can see, oh wow, look at that. It feels like a lifetime ago that we were navigating L squared and caffeine-fueled midnight deadlines at IMB. I hope. So again, it's kind of taken this as a storyteller kind of email and created a fairly good long email like this. Now, if I give it an example, and let's say I take this, now I tweak this and say, I can tweak this, say, I can change certain things like let's catch up soon. It still doesn't know my name or email batch here, so I can probably change these out. But if there's anything I don't want, I can just swap out here and make changes. Here, I'll do this in a bit. Okay, so what I want you to do now is you've said write an email. So this is now break this down into what you want to do and what is the context of it. What is the role you want them to play? So this, I've chosen marketing manager, storyteller. You might be act like a CFO, act like my therapist, and write an email to my friend asking that we are no longer friends, or something like that, right? So give some more context and go ahead and do that. So I'll wait for 1 minute. And this is the slide. Okay. Okay, I'll continue with this. So now this particular structure of role, task, context, and context is the most important one people miss. Format wherever possible and example wherever possible. You can copy your previous emails, you can go online, you can say, hey, this is a blog that I like, this is website content I like, use this as an example. This is the single most valuable sort of structure that can help you improve your final outputs. And if you're doing something like a deep research kind of thing, then using tables, examples is an extremely powerful thing, and I'll show you that in the coming one. So there are some certain things that I do, like you might have just heard me say that act as the world's best. That automatically sort of elevates the output to a much better quality of an output. It's kind of magical the way that works. It just literally says, "Oh, I need to be the world's best, so I will give you the world's best output." Right? Imagine you could hire an MBA intern and says, "You are now the world's best person in this work," and it will just become that. So we're quite fortunate to live in January 2026 to do that. And we need to impress. Now, this is another line sometimes I use. It's again part of the context. So again, to recap, context is why are we doing this? What is the other information that you need to know? The simplest way I can think of is what would you tell an MBA intern when you're giving them a task, right? So it can be anything about the project. It can be anything about things you like, things that the client likes, or anything else that you would give another human being to do and not leave them to assume. Other things you can say as context is here's a PDF of my brand guidelines. Here's a PDF of my client research that I've done. But just give all of that information and let it create that final artifact, which might be an email or something like that. So a context can be anything. It's just as much information as you would give to another human being to do their job. And of course, like I said, here's an example. You can copy it from your email. You can copy it from another website. You can go to Google and say, give me a good example of a site or some content, and then pull that back in. But this tends to be quite powerful when you want to define what the final output looks like. Okay, so I think we have done this, drafting an email. So that was meant to be the second task. So very good. Again, this is really simple. Once you start doing this, it'll just seem not really a big deal. But like I said, this is the one that most people miss out on. Now, there are some other smaller techniques, I would say, when it comes to using prompts and writing it better. For example, ask me first. So you can actually add this one extra line before answering, ask me clarifying questions to ensure accuracy. Again, this helps in improving the context of the work that you're giving. So if you've given enough context, it should be able to do something. You can see in the latest Gemini version, it actually asks you because it knows it doesn't have enough context. But even when you think that you have given enough, you should just say, give me some more questions that you need answered before you do the job, and it'll do a better job. Again, and on one side, it's a super smart MBA. On the other side, it's a 7-year-old kid. So it still wants to make you happy. So it might not ask you questions. In some cases, it will. Now, the second sort of thing that you can use is forcing a structure. So if you're asking it to research and do certain things, you can say output in a table with different columns, right? So you actually would say column 1, column 2, column 3, and then it'll give you that final table. You might see sometimes nowadays Gemini will just give you a table because it knows the table should be structured in a certain way, but you can actually say, I want the table with this title and these column names, etc. And we talked about examples. As much as possible, give examples. If you can give 3 strong examples, it will basically make the fourth output as good as it gets. And now there's another thing you can do, right? So whenever you're creating a draft of some content, you can start tweaking around with this and say, make it sharper, make it better. Now, when you say make it sharper, make it concise, again, you're leaving the interpretation to it. Some people are very comfortable and just say, yeah, just give me a version of it. But most of us, it's probably better that you would say, make it like this, and sort of use the iteration with an example so that it does get better at its final output. And when I said, for example, act as a world's best manager, act as something, you can actually say even act as somebody and either challenge this something or read through something and do some action, right? So let me just, for example, say, act as a friend receiving this, but they haven't seen me in 10 years and they have no idea who I am. What would be the things that they would find unusual that I'm bringing up? And so now it's sort of now telling me what they would think, right? So I'm sort of using this as an example of, okay, so it's jumped into a intimacy gap, and it sounds like there's a sales pitch, something like that, right? As it's too polished, etc. Right? So how do I fix it? Now I'll just say, please rewrite the draft with the recommended changes. Okay, so now it's actually said, I'll be the first to admit that's a bit bold, but seeing your name come up, etc. Right? So it kind of addresses the problem statement that this role has played. And it improves on that because it allows me to simulate what they might be thinking and then giving a response. Again, this is just one use case. You can use it to create virtual customers, create virtual colleagues, virtual bosses, and even virtual board members, which is something that we'll do sometime today. Cool. I am seeing a couple more questions. Yeah. Yep. Keep some of those questions coming. I'll try and address them. Consistency of the SOPs. Again, it is still an LLM. It might not be 100% perfect. You can regenerate it again. So by the way, there's a small option here called redo. I can ask it to redo it, make it shorter, try again. Not sure how many people have even seen this button, but if you click try again, it will literally regenerate it exactly, as if it was a new thing. So I'll be honest, reaching out, a little surreal. Okay. That's a bit long, so maybe I'll just make it shorter. Yeah. And by the way, I guess nobody ever does this, but if you don't like an output, just mark it as a bad response. So somebody on their end will look at it and say, oh, okay, this is not the best that is there. You can also copy this quickly, and you can, do other things like export it, draft it as an email, etc. Right? So, or you can even say, double check this. If I'm using certain facts, I would do that. Cool. So these are just some of the basics of using prompts and using Gemini for this. Just some fairly straightforward examples. Yeah. Okay. Now, I guess a couple of people have asked this as well, where AI right now is good and not so good at the moment. You can definitely use it for drafting anything. So pretty much anywhere you need to draft or summarize, it's amazingly good at. Wherever there's some sort of fact that you need to rely on, where, for example, there's legal interpretations. Again, these are very subjective based on who you're talking to. Anytime there's numbers, AI or LLMs right now are honestly pretty terrible at it. It has gotten a lot better in the last year or two, but even till date, I do know that sometimes numbers tend to get messed up when you're trusting AI to do. Again, just verify very carefully. I do know one doctor personally who uses ChatGPT very well. So what they do is they dictate. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Hey, Lokesh, can you hear me?
Yeah. Last 15 seconds, we lost you.
Oh, okay, strange. Okay, good. Thanks for people who are alerting. Yeah, so just to recap, these are the areas that you need to watch out for: numbers, policies, anytime there's regulatory or medical advice that you need to give. I do know one doctor personally who's been using ChatGPT quite often, and the way he uses it, he asks ChatGPT to generate like an SOP or some sort of advice based on what it knows about the particular medication or particular process that needs to happen, and uses that purely as a draft as if he again hired another junior doctor to prepare a draft. Then he goes through line by line to confirm that that is his recommendation, and then he takes a printout and gives it to his team to follow up, right? So I think this is a very efficient way of using it. You don't trust it 100%, but it's like you're trusting an MBA intern with all your complicated stuff, or your doctor intern. They can create all the content, but it's your name, it's your rubber stamp on it, so just be careful. With that being said, it's getting better and better, but it's not 100%, right? So just keep that in mind. And this is as of 18th Jan 2026. I expect this to be an issue for quite some time to come, but it's almost like treat it like another human being. If somebody creates a report for you, and then you have to present that report to somebody else, it's entirely your fault if you don't read through it and make sure it's correct. So it's the same with AI. It's your fault if you don't check what the AI creates. So yeah, okay. So this is just some things to know about. And now we'll kind of move on to the next thing within Gemini, deep research. Deep research is a feature that started coming out around last year. And this is literally picked up from Gemini's deep research site. Now, what deep research does is very simply, it browses hundreds of websites, and if necessary, your mail, etc. And it takes all of that research, pushes into an AI model, and then gives you the final output, right? So there's a lot of things that you need to do from a research perspective, whether you're sort of planning some activities, you're doing some initial exploration of a topic that you're not familiar with. This is a great way to quickly get some research done and give some output. And deep research right now, I would say, is very, very frequently used in different spaces like financial institutions, even any sort of strategy division. So for example, if you're building a new product and you want to check whether the feature is getting popular or not, do a deep research. If you were entering a new market, you can do a competitive analysis and find out whether something is good or bad, etc. If you're comparing two different products, this is again a good place to quickly see what's there. So I'll just spin up a quick deep research right now. And you can see here where you find it is, if you open up Gemini and you click on tools, the very first thing you see is deep research. That's pretty much how you find it. And by default, under sources, there's search. But if you want, you can also connect it to your email, Google Drive, and your Google Chat, which I think nobody uses at all. But you can connect it to do that, and it will do a decent job of it. So there's two ways that I personally use deep research. Well, there's a couple of ways. One is if I'm researching a new product idea and I want to quickly see what is out there, then I can use that over here. Or even to prepare slides for this, for example, I can do that. So let's say I'm working on a new concept. In fact, this is something that I'm quite keen to see if I can do. But I want to set up a new cafe where people can come in and play and build Legos. So it's kind of like a Lego place as well as a coffee kind of place. Find out if there are such kind of businesses globally or something similar, and what works and what doesn't work depending on the type of business. And I will just click submit. Let's see what happens. So what happens in the background is that a deep research first starts by doing a Google search. And you can see here, it'll find, I'll just click on research. It'll go through and find multiple websites and bring them to sort of the working board. And you can see how it's thinking. Let's say sources browsed. It's going to start doing some research by converting what I've said into keywords. It's going to go to Google. It's going to find the websites that are relevant to this particular search. So for example, in a few seconds, it's already found 24 websites that are talking about Lego Playland, Brick House, etc. So different types of businesses. And then it'll get all of this information, and then it should start processing it. So it's going to see, you can see here, I'm just showing the thinking. It's now trying to take all of this information, give me a strategy of what works, what doesn't work. And then it's also now digging a little bit deeper into different things, what to do, what not to do, sustainability of a business, etc. Right? So whether this is going quite quickly, in fact, it's going a lot faster than it used to. Normally, it takes a good half an hour to finish the entire deep research. And in fact, this is on the fast model. If I want, I can go to a thinking model or a pro model. These will take longer and, kind of spend more time. It's like another human being, right? If I ask you to do a task in 1 hour, you can do something. If I ask you to spend the whole day and do something, you can probably do a better job. So think of it that way. That's how a deep research model also does. And okay, so it's finding there are some businesses in South Korea and Japan, and there are other websites that it's talking about. Now, this is a very, very simple kind of prompt that I've literally not structured into anything. I've not given really any context. I've not given a role. I've not given any examples of what I want. So it can definitely be improved. So for example, I can say, hey, I want a table of all the competition, what the revenue they are, which location they are, when they started, etc., in this format. And so that might be an example of an output that I would want, but I've not specified it. Yeah. Hello? Can you guys hear me? Not sure why it's cutting out. Lokesh, just whenever you hear me stop talking, just say lost you for a second.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay. So now there should be, while this is researching, you can do something else. So deep research and now all of the other functionality as well. These are designed to run in the background. So the same thing, you can use a deep research. There's a version of it in ChatGPT as well. So it's literally the same thing. I can say here and then deep research, and I can just copy the same prompt. So sometimes what I do is I literally just open multiple AI platforms and just paste the same prompt, etc. And now this is going to ask me more questions. So let me quickly use voice. I'm primarily targeting adults, and I want both free-form models as well as maybe events that I can host to get more people in. I'm thinking of more coffee and snacks, sort of more like a cafe rather than full meals. And yes, people can definitely buy the full sets. And right now, I'm looking at India, so any other sort of developing country would be a great example that we can learn from. By the way, I hope you guys are seeing how effective I'm able to get this much data in such a short form. I saw a post a couple of weeks back of LinkedIn's co-founder calling this voice pilling, like his life has changed after using voice, because obviously this is how efficiently you can do this. Now this is going to take its time. This is maybe at the end of the session I can see that it would have completed. Let me see if Gemini has done something for me. Yeah, Gemini has actually done a decent report. So it's done its version of report, strategic framework of development, brick building, etc. It's telling me different types of bricks in different countries and how they make money, etc., because that's the question I asked, and how they typically charge. Now, if you think about it, this is how many pages? This is, yeah. I usually like to see this. These are all the sources that were used to make this one report. This is maybe some 50 pages, and some pages it ignored. It also shows you the entire thought process around it. This is easily weeks of a human who's an expert in Legos and cafes writing a report for me, done in minutes in front of you. And obviously this is very high value to the right person. And if I want, I can again use the infographic capability of Gemini, because I'm just lazy to read the whole thing, and I just want a quick visual snapshot, so why not? I will just quickly see what it's done. And yes, the infographic just it's a queue, so it just goes into a queue, and it takes maybe another minute or two to generate. But you can see that ideally the skill set isn't now so much doing the research part, but asking the right questions of research. Oh, it is actually somehow decided to make me a website. So let's see what it does. So the skill set now, when it comes to creating or doing deep research, etc., is not so much the research part of it, but asking the right questions. So more and more, you as a leader should be able to identify what are the things that I would need to do to get the best output towards my objective. And here again, you can use Gemini and ChatGPT to challenge you with questions and say that act as the world's best management consultant who has decades of experience in launching new businesses in developing countries, and ask me the questions that you need to know to do the best kind of research to give me the output to make a decision. So if you see, you kind of have to start thinking multiple levels above just give me the research, but try and extract as much information from you as possible so that it can do the final output. And yeah, you can see here it's doing this. Let me close this. Let's see if it's done the site. Okay, so you can see it's done this lovely infographic over here. It's actually converted into a website. You can probably tell from the look on my face that I'm equally as surprised as you are. But yes, it's created a business called Brick and Sip. And it says, yep, this is the rough market in different countries. And the revenue base is food, rentals, sales, and workshops. Okay, so not too much money on workshops, but yes, you cannot survive on lattes alone when a customer occupies a table for 3 hours. I actually got this insight from a colleague as well who was telling about board game business that was losing money because people are just sitting and playing board games. So this is good. I get to find out all of this. Oh, look at that. How to run the business, etc. So this itself is an amazing set of research done. And as a manager, leader, this is something that would have taken maybe multiple weeks of effort to put together, but I'm able to do that quite efficiently. And you can also export this into a docs, which should then generate the entire document with sources. And yes, you can save this as a PDF and upload it to create another infographic image or more slides or whatever in Notebook LM, right? So you can see it handshakes quite nicely. And all the sources are also here. 45 websites it has gone through in the 5-10 minutes that I spent to explain this to you guys. So yes, this is quite a deep, useful tool. I will be taking a sort of deeper session into deep research, but for today's session, I just want you to be aware that it exists. There's a homework related to this as well, so we will come to that shortly. Okay, and yes. Some of you are asking certain questions related to deep research. Congratulations on starting your homework early. So yes, we will get to that shortly. Okay. Now, the next thing is gems. And by the way, we are on 3 out of 5. By the way, some of you gave some feedback that I was kind of running through stuff without sort of giving a heads up. So I hope the outline definitely helped get you in the mind of what we're going to do today. Let's get into gems. Now, some of you were there for the last session. Some of you weren't. If you weren't, don't worry about it. We're just going to look at this quickly again, along with a use case that hopefully will be quite useful. So what are gems? Gems are basically prompts, but put in a box and allow you to repeat the same prompt multiple times. So that's all a gem is. It's not really complicated. It's not like another magic tool, right? So if you can write a prompt saying, act like a so-and-so person and give me so-and-so help, then you save that in a box called a gem and you get that output. And that's why this framework is so important, because you give the role, you give the task, you give the context, you give a format of maybe the output, and you give some examples wherever possible, right? And you put that into a box and say, hey, next time I come back, I can ask the exact same thing and you should help me out as well. So this is again from the Gemini's website, just to make sure we haven't missed anything. You can save a highly detailed prompt instruction for your most repeatable tasks. So these are tasks that ideally that you would want to do multiple times. We discussed a quality assurance gem last time, and we'll discuss a few more today. You can also upload multiple files. It can be your company policy document. It can be the research that you have just done into a gem and say, use this as a context for Q&A. And you can also change the style and tone and pretty much anything that you would put in a prompt. We just put it into a gift box, call a gem, and then you can give it to everybody. You can give it to your internal team, you can give it to your manager, you can give it to your clients as well. So it makes it quite a powerful way of thinking about prompts, but prompts that are reusable, right? So, and this is where pro users really maximize their use of the AI that's ChatGPT or Gemini by using gems. And within ChatGPT, they're called custom GPTs. So if you click on GPTs, explore, you can create this over here. And the same thing in Gemini, you can go to gems and create a new gem. And it's practically the same. So how does this work? We can see the example. It's not a bad example. You are a horticulturist with background in natural lawns and plants, and you help people plan low water gardens. Okay, so I'm gonna create an example of a virtual board member. So let's say that we want to create a new. Just think about who your business heroes are, right? So let's say come up with the top 5 business leaders in the world for creative thinking as well as exponential growth. Who are these people? And I'm doing this from scratch. Just let's see what it comes up with. And gems, yeah, you can create them. There are others as well. Oh, look, NVIDIA. Yeah, I like the guy. Agree to disagree, but sure. Shopify is okay. A detailed prompt of Jensen Huang where I can paste this into a Gemini gem and quickly have a conversation. So be as detailed as possible and talk about things they generally advise in and their business style and their management style and the way they speak as well. Articulate their style, tone, mannerisms, and give me at least 1,000 words. Okay, so look at that. You are Jensen Huang, the co-founder and CEO of NVIDIA. You're not just a businessman, you're a thinker, etc. Right? So cool. I'm just gonna paste this. The business style, first principle thinking, flat organization, 0 billion markets, perfection through failure, speed of light. Okay, cool. And then there's some very specific things about tech that it would know. And it's also given me a very detailed philosophy and all of this. So it even tells me, open gem, create a new gem, paste the above, name it Jen, start the conversation with Jensen, what's the first thing? Okay, so I'm just gonna do this. I'm gonna paste all of this into a gem. Virtual board member Jensen Huang. Talk. Yeah. If I wanted, I could upload some of his PDFs and websites and other things, but that's okay. I'll just stop with this for now. Okay. Hey, Jensen, I want to open a new Lego cafe business. What do you think? Sure. Let's see. Okay. If you're selling coffee and plastic bricks, you're competing in a market that already exists. Okay, full stack. Oh, interesting. When I create a Lego, it should create a virtual version of it on a screen. Use AI to lower cost. If somebody is stuck, use AI vision system to look at their piles and suggest 3 fixes. Yeah, I think I can build that. Look at enterprises. Yeah, okay. Use the power of Lego to build rapid prototyping retreats. Yeah, that's a great idea, Jensen. And my advice, prepare to suffer, etc., right? So you can see here, this is very interesting. In fact, I'm probably going to spend some more time with virtual Jensen right after this. But you can see that literally in 5 minutes, I have created a sounding board for me based on somebody I respect, let's say. And it's able to take my context. It's able to give Jensen's spin on it. Again, how does it know Jensen's spin on it? Because I asked the previous question of creating a virtual Jensen. So it's picked, it gave me some ideas, and then I said, create a detailed prompt. It knows all of these from different sources. So for example, it's actually gone to the Wikipedia. It's gone to, there's a speech that Jensen gave at Caltech, and Speak by Design, and his blog, etc. So it's taken all of this, and this is like a quick search. If I want more information, I can do a deep research, and then I can say, give me a very detailed kind of persona, and then it'll do this. So I can see a lot of you are liking this. This is a very powerful tool. If you're ever stuck in any thought process as a business, a personal life, you can literally say, absorb the wisdom of that person or those people and condense that into something that I can have a conversation with. And this is at a personal level, at a business level. I showed last time that you can use it to create virtual clients, take everything you know about the client, ask it to create a Gemini master prompt, and it'll create that for you. So you can see here where I can paste this into a gem and quickly have a conversation. Right, so that's sort of my quick brief. By the way, this is this week's homework, this plus something else, which I'll articulate, so I hope you paid attention to this one. Okay, one more use case I wanted to show, and there's a lot of use cases, by the way, with these gems. Once you get the hang of what all these guys can do. So for example, this is a client that we've been doing branding work for, and you can see here in this particular prompt, I've said, act as the below client whenever something is uploaded. Give me critique saying why you like it, what can be made better, and give me a rating on a 1 to 5 scale, right? So now there's 2 takeaways I want you to draw from here. One is that I've not just said have a conversation. I'm actually asking it to evaluate it. And this is one of those really powerful skills that AI can do now. It actually does a very good job of applying almost human intelligence. So it can understand fonts, it can understand when something is wrong, it can understand spelling mistakes, and give you that rating. So this itself is a huge time saver. If you want to, for example, if your part of your job is to review somebody else's work, and you don't want to waste your time going through multiple proofs, you can say, just put in everything that you want to brief about you, and say, use this particular prompt and say, hey, before you come to me, run it through the gem, and only if you cross 4 out of 5 and above, only then send it to me. And it does a very good job of saving a lot of time, and that's why we kind of use it for this kind of use case, but a virtual board member is definitely one use case that you can consider. These are just two use cases. I know people are using it for customer support, internal support, FAQs, and even research. So you can actually run more deep researches here. You can actually connect this to creating images. So you can put your entire brand brief into this, as well as create images. And so every time you need to generate new content or images, you can just say, hey, use this particular gem. A gem is nothing but a prompt, but it's just reusable. That's it. It's nothing more complicated than that. Okay, so I'm going to take a quick 5-minute pause, and you guys are going to do exactly what I did as much as possible. Step 1, narrate out, saying, create a detailed prompt of whoever it is. So Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Mukesh Ambani, Narendra Modi, whoever you want. We might have to edit that last part out. Whoever you want, just create a virtual detailed prompt of that person and copy that into a gem and just ask any question. So I'm going to take a quick 5-minute pause and let you guys do that. And if you want, I'll just paste this in. Lokesh, can you just, okay, here you go. I think this should be broadcasted. Yeah, okay. So I've just given you my example. Feel free to update yours. So I'm going to set a countdown timer. Countdown. Around 5 minutes. So, Alrighty, so it's about 5 minutes. I hope everyone got to explore some of these tools. Try to answer a couple of questions while we were on this.
Yeah.
If you are stuck in any of this, don't worry. I think if you are part of the WhatsApp group, by the way, some of you, nay, all of you are amazing for both sharing and learning and updating on the group. So if you're not on the group yet, join the WhatsApp group and keep asking questions. I think the beauty of this community is there's some of you who are just learning, and some of you who have probably seen all of these 20 times already. And I'm it's a big audience of people. I'm hoping that everyone takes away at least one useful thing that they can act on and put to use tomorrow. If you just say that one thing was enough, that makes me happy. And so keep sharing what you learn. That's how we all learn and grow. And yeah, the syllabus and all of this is being written live. Every day, technology changes in the world of AI as of 18th January 2026. And you'll hear this a lot. I will always timestamp all of my statements. These are current challenges of today, but there's so many opportunities as well. Okay. So just in the interest of time, before we open up for a full floor Q&A, so yeah, this virtual board member, please work on this and share your findings on the group later. Okay, so part 4 out of 5 is pretty much in the dying embers of this. Again, I'm going to just preview what we have for media generations in Canvas for today. There's a whole session just on image and video generations and how to do good images and what are the limits and all of that. But I just want to show it to you because that'll just round off our work on mastering or just understanding what is there in ChatGPT and Gemini. And like I said, these are kind of common tools right now. So generating images, generating videos should be there in both Gemini as well as ChatGPT. I can say, create image in ChatGPT and it'll create an image over here. And in Gemini, you can create image here. Now, what can you create images of? You can create images of pretty much anything. You can say, now these are creating images of things that you don't have or don't want to have any idea of. What I found to be quite useful is different kind of images that need to be generated for mockups or for specific products. So for example, let's say that I want to I, for example, enjoy drinking this. I know. It's not the healthiest in the world. It's Pepsi, but there's no sugar, so please forgive me for that. And let's say I want me doing something with this specific use case. So I'm going to try and maybe real time this. It's not going to be great, but I'm just going to take a photo of me and I'm going to paste that in and say, generate an image of me holding this can of Pepsi. Oh, did I select generate? Yeah, it should probably know. It should know that it needs to generate an image, right? And I'm just going to do the same thing over here. And hopefully this also serves as a good lesson of generate an image of me holding this Pepsi can. There you go. Okay, so you can see here that it's made up my hand. It's retained my face pretty well, I would say. Let me show you the original. This is what it looked like. Sorry, I'm brain dead. No, I'm kidding. It's retained me almost exactly, and it's taken this can, it's put it at an angle. It's not made it like perfectly realistic, but that's okay. It's good enough for me to demo. I can probably tweak the prompts a little bit and say, make it a little bit more photorealistic and align the lighting. So let me do that. Make this the can more photorealistic and blend the lighting so that it looks consistent. again, we'll not spend too much time on this one. It's there as an option. You guys can play around with that. Let's just see what ChatGPT has done. ChatGPT is a lot slower. It kind of is getting better. I would actually say, as of today, this is slightly better. So one use case that we're seeing in multiple places is if you have a physical product that you want to generate like a real life mockup, then this is like a fantastic use case. If you want to take a logo and put it into some real life place, you can do that. If you want to take a movie poster and replace the characters with yourself, you can do that. We end up mostly using this from a business perspective for replacing images or physical objects within existing images and generating mock-ups of the products, etc. For example, we're also building a health app where we need to use these images to generate different types of food, different types of people, and we're able to do this using these AI models. So this is just one example. Again, not to spend too much time on this one. Yeah, you can see it kind of works. Didn't really do too much, but that's okay. Now let's say I want to use this, but I want to now make me drink something. So I'm gonna take this image and create a new chat, go to videos, and ignore all of those guys. Take this image and say, make this person drink the Pepsi can. Okay. Make this person take a sip of the can and then smile. I have no idea what the outcome of this is going to look like, so I'm here in this journey with you. But yes, so this is one of the best practices of video generation, is always start with an image and then generate the video. So don't just say, oh, create a video of something, right? So spend time on image generation first and then switch to video. And images are usually a lot faster, and it's just one frame, right? If you think of a video versus an image, a image is, let's say, 1,000 words, right? It's a single frame and it stops there. A video is 1,000 words into number of seconds. And that takes a lot of time to generate. In fact, it's very compute intensive. It's not perfect. There's a lot of flaws with it, but there's some very early use cases of that that are sort of emerging from there. And people are starting to use these for generating mockups, generating quick user-generated content. And it ran out of server capacity, looks like. So that's kind of sad. But let me see if I can run it 1 or 2 times. And maybe just to entertain you, let's see, Coke AI ad. So just to give you an Coca-Cola, you guys know Coca-Cola. They have been creating multiple AI ads every year. So this is, I think, their second or third. And you can see here. Yep, so that was made with AI, and oh, looks like it's generated something. Okay, So slightly creepy, nay, very creepy, but you can see that it has created a version of me, um, apparently having a drink, right? Yeah, that's. Is that how I look like when I'm drinking? Okay, I need to rethink my whole image over here. But yes, you can see that videos are possible using a starting frame. If I had to say create an image of or video of me drinking something, it would have no idea, right? So even if it's like create a video of a cat jumping over a car, so it's better you take the image first and then you generate a video. And the Coca-Cola video that you just saw, I think the first time they did it, they spent like months on it, people working as a huge team. Last year, I think it was now like maybe 5 to 10 people working on that video. And almost every frame, they probably would have generated some 50 different versions of it until it finally approved. So if I regenerate this, it will again give a slightly different version of it. It might make another different mistake, etc. So it's not perfect yet, and often what's in your head doesn't align with what comes out of here. It's great for mock-ups, it's great for ideas, but if you want a final video, typically even like we have an in-house digital marketing team that makes videos as well, and they use these AI tools. And on average, a final shot of an 8-second clip takes at least 10 times 10 iterations to get to one that they're happy with. And you can see one other limitation of AI videos right now is that it can only generate, as of now, 8-second clips at a time. That's not to say that it can't generate longer ones. It's just a limitation of today that after 8 seconds, it literally would just forget what it was doing and just go into another direction. And so they've kind of set limits of 8 seconds. That's a limitation as of 18th January 2026. That position may change very quickly in coming time. But anyway, that's hopefully you can see that I can generate 2 more videos and you will be able to do that yourself as well. Okay, I will not get too much into this, but just to give you a sense of what we call AI right now is your text LLMs. That's the one we usually play around with, your GPTs, and I guess now this is number slightly outdated, GPT 5.2, Gemini, etc. Speech to text, this is ideally the tools that you're using to get information in. Text to image, what you just saw at the moment. There are other tools. Nano Banana is the technology that Gemini uses. That's their project code name. Very good for visualizing concepts. And if you build infographics using NotebookLM, it uses Nano Banana in the background. There's just an extra prompt that's built in saying create an infographic. So if you really want, you can also just tell Gemini, the regular Gemini, saying generate an infographic. So you can actually just say, okay, generate. In fact, let me just find Stuart Hong's this guy. Infographic 16 by 9 image based on the below. And I will just say create image and go from there. Okay, so I can use that to generate infographics as well if that's what I have access to. But NotebookLM tends to be better because there's a lot of internal code of how it generates the infographics that's better. So this is a simple infographic that you might share on social media. It's an okay image. It's nothing mind-blowing. I tend to find that NotebookLMs are much better. Okay, and this is, again, different LLMs that we just talked about, or different types of models. When it comes to generating images, again, there is a science to this. I'll not spend too much time on this, but if you can give the different types of image, what's in the image, what lighting you want it, what mood you want it, then you will get a good final image that matches what you expect. I usually just take photos and just say merge them or something. And for creating videos, you can again be very specific that says do something, do something, do something, rather than just saying make video, right? So be very specific. I give you a very normal example, but experts literally can write a whole paragraph, 2 pages of what they want that 8 seconds to be like. Okay, so the final thing I just want to showcase is a canvas. And this is something that you would have, I think you just saw the infographic that it had created, which was a bit weird, but this is the option over here. So there's a canvas. ChatGPT has the same thing as well. So they call it a canvas. Canvas, there you go. So what is a canvas? A canvas is basically a sort of a website box. So you can ask it to create a website and it will show that in a canvas. Now, let's look at that example that it already made, which I think is a good place to start. I did this one. Yeah, so you can see here, this box is actually a canvas. And what it actually is a website. So this is how code looks like. Like nobody needs to go through this, but the output looks like this. And you can actually say, create a specific canvas for like a website. And this, the benefit of this is you can either download it or you can share it and get this to people to see. Let's see, this one is a specific website. Let me see if I can just download this. Oh, okay. I think it's not there in this particular option, or I'm not able to see it. Okay, so this is a specific website where you can ask it to make certain changes on the site, so you can customize the final output. Similar thing exists in ChatGPT as well. So let's just try using Gemini, a new one, and say, let's say I want to create a business model calculator tool where I can specify the number of customers that are walking in every day, the average cost of different things, like how much I will charge for Legos, how much I'll charge for food, and average walk-ins, and just come up with a couple more variables, and then we'll create a business calculator that I can play around and simulate my expected revenue and profits and cost per month. Okay, so this is again another technique of prompting. You don't just jump to the final output. You ask it to think through and sort of give certain, thought process. Again, it's like a human being. You write down on a piece of paper your entire thought process, and then only you give the output, right? Show your writing. The more you write, the better your output is. Okay, and now I'm going to say, so it's done that, which is not bad. And I'm going to say, Canvas, create a website of this business simulation where I can move the toggles and get the final costs and net profit and revenue. Show this in a canvas. Now, sometimes the canvas doesn't stick, sometimes rare, so you might have to ask to regenerate, and it says, try again without canvas, but let's see what it does. And just to see what ChatGPT does, ChatGPT was one of the early players of using a canvas. I'm going to first get rid of the canvas, and then I'm going to go back to this guy and create a website. This is done. Canvas. Well, some of you might have heard of the term vibe coding. Thumbs up if you heard vibe coding. No worries if you haven't. But that's become a thing now in terms of building prototypes or front-end sites using AI. There's an art and science to it. Not for this session, but maybe sometime after these series. Okay, so you can see here, I've done it in 2 steps. I said create a business model calculator tool, and then I've created a website and present this as a canvas. So yeah, you can see that it's now something I can toggle. Say, let's say I'm expecting on average 100 people who are walking in and everyone walking in is going to buy something, so that's fine. Average is, say, okay, it's taking in dollars, so I'm going to say, can you convert it from dollars to rupees? Let it do that. Okay, now it's going to be stuck here while it recomputes this. And yeah, you can see it's created a tool. It's basically a website that allows me to play around with numbers, get some simulation modeling done, shows me a graph, etc. Now, this would have taken easily a few hours or a day to get a dev to build this screen out. Now, there's no database, there's nothing that can be stored. It's purely just one page, one screen. But you can see for small tools, this is where I would recommend you think about like Canvas as a way of quickly generating small tools that you can then use to check numbers, etc. Right? So AI or LLM on its own, I would say, is not very good with numbers as of 18 Jan 2026. But the tools that it creates are basically programs, and that's something you can rely on, right? Because it'll follow rules. Like 1 + 1 is always going to be 2. With AI LLMs, 1 + 1 is 99.999% 2, but there's a very tiny fraction where it might not be 2, because somebody wrote a blog article 10 years back saying that 1 + 1 is not 2, right? It's probabilistic. You can see here, yeah, it's converted to rupees just very quickly. I can see that. I can do some modeling. This is good enough for me to go and present to people. If there's something I don't want, I wanted to just change, I can just select this and say, change this to a 3-column graph. Oh, I used it the wrong way. It should have been over here. So this is a canvas that's there on Gemini. Again, useful for quickly generating small single-page tools. This is on ChatGPT. If I click on that, it'll give me a version of this program. Again, they're all sort of using some sort of underlying software to generate this. You can see this is using ChatGPT. Now, it's using its version of the business construct. So I asked it to come up with its own business model, and it's done that. So I'm not judging it on that. But let's say I've got 100 walk-ins, and I'm open. Oh, okay. So it's considered that. Consider conversion rate. Yep, 100% paying. Sure. Okay, seems to be stuck here. Okay, and different things. And then it finally gives me, okay, based on these numbers, I need at least 33 people walking in to make my costs. And it gives me a graph as well. So this is just one example. You can think of anywhere you want to create a quick calculator, a quick website, a quick landing page that you want to show somebody. You can share this link with somebody. Specifically, I think ChatGPT has that as of now. Gemini, I thought it had it. Somehow in my mind it did, but it just gives me the ability to copy the contents. Practically speaking, you can paste this in a website and it'll be a live website. I expect that in a couple of weeks, this will be something that you can share with everybody else. But this is good enough to send as a screenshot. Again, another use case is create a landing page for a brick Lego cafe. Create this in a canvas. I'm doing all the bad things. There's no role, there's no context, there's no examples. But now that you know I'm telling you it's the bad things, don't do what I'm doing. Just give it more love and context, right? So create another prompt that does the context creation and then give it to it. And let's just see what it does. So I'm just creating a simple site. Okay, and that should be done. There you go. There's my first website. Brick and Brew, build your dreams one sip at a time. Start building, view menu, how it works. Brick, different packages, I guess, the menu and the location and the site. So it's not bad. It actually kind of followed a Lego color palette over here. Yep, so this is just an example of creating a quick site within Gemini or ChatGPT Canvas. Again, there are other tools that are much better for vibe coding and building more functional prototypes, but within the realm of the Gemini that you already have access to or ChatGPT that you might already be using, this is already extremely powerful. So yes, that was a canvas, and I do have a try it yourself slide over here, but I'll take a quick pause over here. Okay, so we're pretty much done for today's session. Just as a recap, we went through Gemini pretty much. I guess the recap for this is we went through prompting, we went through deep research, we went through images, we went through videos, and we went through Canvas. There's also guided learning, which is similar to what's there in Notebook LM, but these are pretty much things that we use as a business on a regular basis, and I'd recommend that you guys do that. And one last thing was, yes, I think this came up during a couple of questions, is how do we get rid of some of the, like, how do I change the text on Notebook LM's infographics? This isn't a 100% solution, but you can see I prompted it. I just tried this purely to see if it would work. Create a version of this image, but with no text, so it's just the background. And it did a fair job of getting rid of all the text while retaining the background. So it's not perfect. It's, some reasons it missed out a few things, and maybe I can add more to prompt to save it. But this is good enough for me to put it into Canva and just put the text in a different places, right? So it's I'd call this more a hack of using Gemini to get rid of text. It's a huge workaround, but considering this slide might have taken a human 2 weeks to pull off, or at least a day or two, this is a huge saving in that. Okay, so that is pretty much all we have for today. If you have survived this long, please put up a thumbs up, or okay, any other emoji other than a thumbs up. Let's look for variety this time. Anything but a thumbs up. No, thumbs up, people, thumbs back down. Okay, cool, there you go. I still see some thumbs up. Instructions not followed. Okay, there you go, no thumbs up. All right, good stuff. Okay, so that's all for today. That puts us, 2 out of 8. You guys have survived for this long. We will now be just taking Q&A. So if you have any question, raise your hand, and my beautiful assistant Lokesh will be unmuting people. That's right, I use those words deliberately. If you don't know Lokesh, guys, he's the life and blood of the I'm Bangalore Alumni Association office, and really has been helping out in tremendous ways. Cool, Lokesh, after I complimented you this much, surely you should be able to jump in and unmute some people. Okay, we'll allow. Okay, I see I have the option as well. Yes, so we're at a point where you can unmute yourself, raise your hand, and I'll see the option to unmute. Questions. Yes. Was that a train that ran into an emoji that I just saw? Sure. Okay, I've unmuted a couple of you. Let me stop sharing screen. Feel free to start speaking. I don't hear anybody at the moment.
Am I talking? You can hear me, Vishal? I'm talking. Can you hear me? No.
I can hear Abhay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Vishal is not able to hear me.
Vishal can't hear.
Sorry, I'm not able to hear everybody.
So I think others can hear me, but Vishal can't hear me.
Ritika, I see your. Can you try saying something?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, you're audible, but Vishal somehow is not able to hear us.
Lokesh, can you try saying something?
Vishal, can you hear me?
Your voice is moving, but I can't hear you, so it's probably at my end. Give me a second. Let me just refresh. Technology, okay. Right? Am I right?
Vishal, can you hear me now? No. Looks like
definitely heard this webinar is being recorded and I can hear plates in the background. So yes.
Can you hear me now, Vishal?
Yes, I can. So sorry about that.
Hi, Vishal. Abhay. Thanks for the session. Again, wonderful time spent on Sunday. Just quick one, we were chatting on WhatsApp, but could not find a way to generate video. Looks like we need a paid account for that.
I suspect there is a thing in the free tier. It has limited video generation now.
Oh no, we cannot do even a single. So
Same question from my side as well, Vishal. I don't think the video option is there in the free version.
Okay, I see that I've restricted it now. I think a lot of people. I see the only way right now is to use one of the free offers or upgrade. Yeah. Yeah, it's Google. I think they were very generous when they started, and then they've added some restrictions. Probably they will open it up again once they figure out how to make it cheap. Yeah, not much I can do. So sorry about that.
Hi, this is Bhaskar. Can you hear me?
Hi, Bhaskar. Yes.
Yeah, I have a few questions. You can stop me and hand it over to somebody else if you think I'm asking too many.
We'll do one question. So if you can do one question and then pass it on to somebody else and just jump in again.
So let me do just one question, which is in Gemini, you generated something called the infographic, right?
Yeah.
But I don't seem to have that option. Is that only for the pro version that you can directly generate an infographic using Gemini?
So the way Gemini works is it uses the image generation option, and then you can use it to create any kind of image. So all I did was I said create an image that is an infographic. So if you see my screen, and it's not the best, but you can see here, I pasted in create an infographic. I tried to make it the right size. It didn't listen to me. That's, again, it's a 7-year-old kid. It keeps going between an MBA intern and a 7-year-old kid. But it's created an infographic, which is just an image. So all I did was I selected image and I pasted that in. And that's
okay, got it. Just related question that towards the end you said without any context or any other definers, you just asked it to generate a website, right? Or a calculator. But it seemed to do a fairly good job. Is it because it already has a context based on the history of discussions that you've had already with it? So in a session, does it remember everything that you have interacted with it in the past? Yeah.
Oh, that's a fantastic question. So what Gemini and ChatGPT both do is whenever it recognizes there's a fact that you would want it to remember, it will make it a point to remember it for future. This is the infographic that it made. In fact, this is good enough to post on social media saying, hey, this is what I learned. You can say my birthday and first month is August 14th. Please remember this fact. So let's see if it does it live. But what ChatGPT and Gemini both have is something called memories. So you can actually see the memories that it has made. So manage. And you can see that these are things that I am doing. Like, because I have asked these questions, I want to self-host some tool. I want to build an AI analytics. I want to build an online SaaS product, right? So it knows this about me and it remembers them from even a very long time. Like I was hosting my PGP 12 reunion in 2012 and it remembers that fact, right? So just check your ChatGPT history, and Gemini history as well should have some version of that. And you can see here there's the saved info page by Gemini, which does a similar thing, which will ideally show me what it knows about me. And you can clean that up or remember that, and it will it'll use that context in the future. So generally, the more you use your Gemini or ChatGPT, the better it gets to your output. And sometimes you can see that my ChatGPT is better in some ways because I have said use very condensed, crisp output, stick to facts, don't give me a lot of text, and it knows the style that I like, and so it'll continue to that. So the more you use it, the more you give feedback. Again, now you think of an MBA intern, right? Say that, hey, I'm not interested in 20 paragraphs about this. Just give me a quick summary, and it'll know that and give that to you. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Vishal.
Hello.
Hi, Govind here. On deep research, I think I was trying to catch up with how you're doing it. But if you have to summarize what you did on deep research in steps of actions, how would you go about doing the one that you did on the Lego Cafe?
Yeah.
First I did this, then I did this. I mean, that would help for now.
Yeah. So firstly, I try to think of what I'm having as an objective, right? So my objective with the Lego Cafe is to understand the business viability of, a cafe like that, right? So in some cases, it might be I'm trying to do competitor intelligence, I'm trying to do market research, I'm trying to do product research in terms of the features, etc. So just be very clear what you would have given an intern to do research and come back with. And what it does is, so for example, I just said, I want to set up a cafe. So let me know if there are places globally and tell me what works and doesn't work, right? So I was quite articulate about what I wanted the research to do. And then it takes that as an intent and then pretty much runs with it. And then you can see that it's going to do this. And if you disagree with any of this, you edit the plan. This is an important thing, right? So Gemini kind of proposes what it's going to do and allows you to edit it and then run it. ChatGPT takes a slightly different kind of tangent, and it says, instead of where is this? Instead of giving your plan and editing it, it'll just say clarify the question, which are in a way similar. Then I just pasted the same thing. I answered the questions because they didn't want to assume anything. Ideally, if I'm following the best practices, I would have said, yes, I want this for cafes, and I'm targeting enterprises, and I'm making this in India, and I want this. But ChatGPT was smart enough to kind of ask me those questions. So that's good for me. Now, the final output you can see here is, where did that go? The final output, again, depends on exactly what you asked, but I pretty much just ran with the deep research and said, let me see, create what you can from it. I will create it, not this guy, sorry.
Hi, Vishal. Meanwhile, you are doing it. I have a quick question. When we ask Gemini to create a slide or PowerPoint deck, the image and the text quality is not so good. Sometimes text is blurred and they give an output in terms of an image on the slide. If we want to edit some text, we won't be able to do it because it's an image. So how to solve this puzzle?
Yeah. So as of 18th January 2026, that's a limitation of Notebook at the moment. It uses image generation, puts it into a box and gives that to you. What we do, as you can even see here, let me expose myself over here. So you can see here, let's say this is the slide for today, but let me start, taking the emperor's clothes off and just saying that this is what it used to be, right? In fact, it's also there. So I took my slide, and what I usually do is say, okay, let me just put like sort of a whiteout and then put some text on it. So as of today, practically, this is the most efficient way of using Notebook LM for generating nice looking slides and infographics. There are some other AI tools for generating slides, which I'll kind of go through in the next session. But Notebook LM only generates images as of today. So I'm expecting that they will realize that, hey, there's a lot of users who are using Notebook LM, and we have a product called Google Slides. So can we not just make that adaptable? But as of today, this is the best way. I hope this made sense.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned, the other kind of hacky thing is just converting to saying, hey, create a version of this image, but with no text. And then I can go and add text in the future. So I can just paste that image into my slide and manually add some text. It's more effort, but that's as of today.
Excellent. Thank
Vishal,
you.
this is Jayant. I have a question about using two tools together. So suppose I'm in Gemini and I would like to call in ChatGPT input as well.
Okay. So right now they don't play directly connected to each other. So, for example, if I find the research and deep research of Gemini is better, I literally would just copy paste the whole thing into ChatGPT and go from there. Like that's
Any of
where
the
you can
tasks to be
use,
executed. Can I
GPT
use best of the both
5.2
worlds?
and Gemini. Yeah. Sorry, I think I lost audio. Your question was, can I use best of the both worlds of ChatGPT and Gemini?
Yes.
As of today, it's pretty much just copy pasting between the two and sort of having two different conversations. As of today, it's copy pasting. There are some third-party tools that sort of allow you to switch between models in between and kind of send it. We don't personally use those, but because once you're used to using Gemini, you'll find that it covers 90% of whatever you need. There's not too much of a strategic advantage that ChatGPT has. So it's mostly copy pasting. Simple answer.
Understood.
Hey Vishal,
Thank
this
you.
is Deepika. So my question was about Notebook
Yeah,
LN's use case. Hello. So Notebook LN, you use it to create infographics and slides primarily, or do you use it as a notebook app, like a Microsoft OneNote replacement for information organization?
So I'm mostly using it right now for quickly generating project-wise notes. So, for example, even today's sessions, I was just sort of creating different text and slides, etc. Now, there's certain cons to the way Notebook LM is set up. It's really not designed to be a full notebook replacement of your notes. You can still use it that way. When I say cons, because, for example, it doesn't allow you to search or sort by date of when you put something in. It's really just designed to be like one project at a time that you can throw everything at it and it'll sort of be there as a way to understand something, etc. That's the nature of the tool at the moment. But that being said, if you're doing brainstorming for something that you just want to just throw a bunch of files, competition slides, even your notes, like you can see most of today's stuff, I would have just spent one minute on just narrating. Yeah, so this is about today's. I just narrated this in about 60 seconds. It generated some slides. That's what I used to present. It's not something I would use for actively note taking, purely because it doesn't allow sort of timestamp based sort of thing, and even searching it's not really designed for searching all of your notes.
Okay.
I guess your question.
Vishal,
Vishal.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Vishal, just to add to this video part, I noticed that in Notebook LLM, there is a place where I can create a video without any upgrade. I just thought I would share this because in Gemini, I think we need to upgrade, but I think in Notebook we can.
Yeah, I guess the usage of Gemini's video is meant for taking image to creating some animated 8-second clip. Notebook LM is really more like a learning tool. I see it as a learning tool for quickly taking a lot of information and presenting it to you in various formats. And so it will always need some sort of text or maybe some sort of PDF, and it'll typically generate a tutorial kind of video, typically, unless you specifically say, hey, create a story using the slides, etc. Right? So you're right, and thank you for sharing that. That's actually, I'm sure, useful to many people on the call.
Vishal, I have a non-technical question here. How secure is the information that we put into Gemini? As in, is it safe to put proprietary or confidential data or information in our prompts?
I say yes, because it's basically a paid service or it's a tool that you're using. It's like using your Gmail. So if you use Gmail from Google, or if you use Teams emails, etc., it's pretty much as good as it gets from a legal and secure standpoint. There are some practices in terms of saying, well, I don't want my data to be used, and they have turned it off by default. So I don't see a concern in that. Now, if you're working with a client and then you're bound not to use any customer data in any kind of other platform other than email or docs, then that's probably the only place that I would not use this. That being said, we've built AI solutions that have, for example, enterprise agreements with Microsoft and Google, and using their APIs, we pretty much can process any kind of information. There are even enterprise level where you can set up agreements saying don't use personal information for anything, etc. But by and large, all of the tools that I'm showing and using right now, they don't use the data for anything other than running these models.
Thanks.
I have a related question, Vishal, that if more and more data sources say that they don't want it to be used for training purposes, then won't the quality of the model deteriorate over a period of time? Because they've been built so far based on full access to all the information on the internet. But now, as more and more people switch off data for training, then how will the model quality be sustained going forward?
Yeah, so there's a very very big thing in AI models right now, and some of you who might be familiar with AI model generation, the former chief scientist of OpenAI, he basically said, look, we are hitting a limit with what LLMs can do right now because, one, we're running out of data, and even the tech of using this much data is pretty much the max. In fact, let me just find the exact quote. He said this literally a few weeks ago, that doesn't matter. We have run out of the amount of data that we can consume. So you can see here, the internet's available data is a fossil fuel of AI is essentially exhausted. So LLMs as of today are pretty much whatever we see as GPT-4, GPT-5. It'll get slightly better. There is some cutting edge research in terms of trying to build more multi-level AI models that kind of check internally and kind of more behave like how the human brain behaves, like a short-term memory, long-term memory. There's some very cutting-edge research that's happening. It's still very early stages, but you're right. AI LLMs need data to work, and they're running out of it. And things like Reddit, I think OpenAI agreement. Let me see if this is there. Yeah. So sometime back, for example, OpenAI was using Reddit, which is one of the most active internet chat sites, for training LLM models. And more these wide platforms like LinkedIn, Facebook, that's the content that they use to generate sort of better text. But we're kind of at a point as LLMs and in general technology that we're not going to see necessarily superior text generation purely from text. And so people are trying to think, how do we improve reasoning by incorporating logic in other ways, and self-learning logic, which is again very innovative. If you see the best chess games and other games, they learn by playing with themselves. So that's something that couldn't be done. You can't learn English by learning English with yourself. You needed some dictionary to learn. But anything that's like a reasoning, like a scientific approach or building something, you can actually trial and error virtually. So to your question quickly, yes, we're running out of data. It is a problem for the AI community, but that's just the reality. And we kind of use the fun tools that we have as of today.
Okay, one more question. Can Canvas be used to add pages to existing websites?
If you had to use it, I would download that page and upload it onto your website manually. So it's not like a plug and play kind of thing. So there was an option to download the code. You can definitely build stuff out on a canvas and go to your website and paste the code in, and it'll work as a normal website page. It's not super recommended, but yes, you can do that.
Okay, thanks.
There are some better website building tools entirely. Canvas is purely because it exists and its logical reasoning is the power of Gemini. I tend to use it for building single page sites to quickly mock up something, or calculator tools, or other tools that just need one page. And you'll be surprised at how many such small tools exist when you really think about it. We'll take it up at a future session.
Got it.
Okay.
And I have just one more, Vishal, please.
Yeah.
So using Notebook LM, I just noticed that, it only looks at what you have given as a source of data, but there is also an option where it says web search, and within that it gives deep research. So
Yes.
what I wanted to do was give it a broad outline. For example, my prompt was to build an infographic on on the status of philanthropy in India. Okay, where I said, okay, I want this broad analysis and look at the web for data. But it wasn't going to the web for data. I mean, is it that we have to specify individual websites for it to look at, or can we just give it a generic prompt to look at all relevant websites as a deep research?
So this one, the way it works is Notebook LM kind of takes what's on the table and then it allows you to create output based on it. So your first step is to bring the content on the table. So you can see here it's going to, okay, I'm going to run this. I'm going to actually just stop it because I don't want to do deep research, but I'll just do a fast research, right? So I might just say, what are best practices of prompting? So, and I'll set the option as web or my Google Drive. If I wanted, it can search my kind of current repository. And it'll do a research. And after it's done, it'll add it to my sources, and then I can do the output. So ideally this, let's give it another couple of import. Cool. So you can see it's added the sources. And now I have these sources that I can use. So I can selectively choose, for example, this is somebody else's. This is the previous one. Let me find it. Somebody else's thing. Yeah, this is somebody else's research paper about tree of thoughts, right? So this research paper is now added to my table of sources, and I can use it here.
Okay, got it. And when you mentioned about it's not good with numbers, now is it not good with numbers even from a summarization point of view, that it look at, let's say, multiple reports, get data from them and summarize it? Even in that, it's not very reliable.
I would say it's getting more and more reliable, but nowadays what I do is I'm always double check with numbers, and often what I do is I re-upload the same output to another chat window or switch from Gemini to ChatGPT and say double check all of this. So again, that's a very powerful kind of use case. It's at a point where it's 98, 99%, it doesn't make mistakes, but yeah, if numbers are important to you, I always double check it with another AI.
Got it. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, if you're done, you can drop off.
Yeah, Vishal, am I audible?
Yes.
Am I audible? Okay. As usual, the key steps I lost out today also from the 5 minutes assignment onwards. Somewhere a little bit of 5-10 minutes if you can give me, I can make up for what are the steps I should remember how to go about it. Kind of lost out from that 5-minute timer. Afterwards, everything went overhead for me for some reason.
Okay. So I'll spend maybe 30 seconds showing what we had done at that time. So this one was creating a virtual board member. So the use case I had just selected was first go to Gemini and just say, create a detailed persona of Steve Jobs. And I'll just take the output of that and let's just say, yeah, put this in. Now I will go to GEMS.
What is GEMS and what is Gemini?
So Gemini is the overall AI chat interface. So it's the full application. And in Gemini, you can have like any conversation. You can ask questions like you just saw. A gem is a pre-packaged prompt. So
how do I figure it out? How do I figure it out in the website?
So if you go to Gemini and you click GEMS, there'll be an option or new gem just here. And then I can just paste this here.
The
This
new
entire,
gem is already made, or I have to create a gem?
you have to create the gem. So the homework is creating a gem.
Okay.
Okay, Steve Jobs avatar. Okay, act as Steve Jobs. And I will give the first line as act as Steve Jobs and answer my questions. Okay, so now I'll save this and I will say, I will start a chat. And I will say, I want to create a new Lego cafe. What do you think? And so now I'm chatting with Steve Jobs. Right, so it's going to act as Steve Jobs and kind of write like his language and kind of say things, right? It's a virtual Steve Jobs. This is what, based on what AI has absorbed about Steve Jobs in terms of websites and other places, that it will be able to have this conversation.
So if I want to use this, I should be willing to edit whatever I want as convenient output, correct?
Yeah, so you can choose the gem structure and you can also choose what you want as the output as well. So you can, for example, let's say you're writing a research paper. You can say act as a research paper examiner. And things that you like are good structure and etc. Things you don't like are, poorly written examples and long paragraphs that don't seem. And so you can then save that as a gem, and then you can upload multiple drafts and say, please review, please review, please review, and give it. So because this, I don't want to keep pasting this at the start of the conversation, I save it as a gem so I can keep reusing it. It's a reusable prompt. That's it. That's a gem.
Okay. I remember the next stage you were talking about creating videos. Could you just run for a few seconds for that? Videos already.
So videos, I can just show you that quickly. So so first I created an image. And then I said, create a video using that image. And I gave this, make the person sip a can and smile. So first generate image, then generate video. Always go step by step. And then if you generate video, we'll do like this. Right? That's it.
Okay. And after this, what other examples we gave? This is one, the creating video. Then earlier was there was a deep research. Then what else?
Then I talked about creating a using Canvas to generate.
What is Canvas? What is Canvas? It's a website?
Yeah, a Canvas is basically a website box within Gemini. So it allows you to create any kind of small one-page website. So you can say, for example, create a welcome page for enjoying Hyderabadi biryani. Make it in a canvas. I usually just force it to make it in a canvas, like say use a canvas, otherwise sometimes it will not do that. So I've selected canvas and I've selected this, it'll start writing some
like you selected gems. I should be able to select canvas option also?
Yes, correct. It's one of the over here.
Where is it? Can you just show me where is it, like canvas?
There at there's like a little toggles and then there's multiple options on of his canvas.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
What else you ran through today, sir?
I think that's pretty much it.
Okay.
These are the main sort of use cases, and until I think up to the prompts, we went through different examples of prompts and how to write better.
Okay, I'll make an effort with the the recording of the session. Let me see how much helps out.
Any questions you have?
Please send across the recording and then let me see.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. Hi, Vishal. This is Jeet here.
Hey, Jeet.
Hi. I don't have a question. I just wanted to commend you for the excellent couple of sessions we have had with you.
Thank you.
And on a lighter note, I want to say that you must have a masterclass on communication after this.
Sure. No, thank you so much. I draw energy from everybody who's learning. And I'm really, really happy with the community and people sharing an idea. For me, that's the biggest win. So thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, I think if there's no further questions from everybody, I'll wish
Vishal, just
Yeah, thank you. I'm signing off. Thank you.
where you have the next set of classes, what are the topics you're covering in the next classes?
Yes, so there's a couple of agenda items. By the way, that's whenever somebody asks me that, I actually internally go slightly cringe, because pretty much the outline of topics that I had was written 3 months ago. And these days I'm very afraid to create slides that I know I have to recreate, one day before. So literally I sit Saturday before and start thinking through, and Sunday I write down what I think we'll go through. But broadly, the flow of these sessions is designed around how I run my business and how my team uses different AI tools. And yeah, let me see if I can pull this up. Where is it? Okay, there you go.
I think that was the last slide in your deck, right? You had put it up.
So, yeah, that's what. So you can see here as well, I published this one. So we've just completed this one, AI in everyday business tools. So these are some of the productivity things, slide generation, Excel, those sort of things that I look at in the next one. We mentioned deep research, but we'll go a little bit deeper into deep research.
Okay.
More into creative and workflows. And the last one is mostly going to be a lot of human conceptual kind of things, no specific tools, but how do you sort of get AI to be used in a group or a team, etc. Like this is probably the one at a leadership management level everyone should be aware of. Yeah.
Got it. Thank
Cool.
you.
But yeah, again, this is an older agenda of sorts. Things are rapidly evolving. Like I had to rename the entire second session from Mastering ChatGPT to Mastering Gemini because of today. But if something else new comes up, and if you think there's a question that others would benefit from, just post it in the WhatsApp group. I'm sure I'll be able to fit something in during the live sessions as well. Any last and final questions? I guess that's all. Okay. No, there's a couple of people who didn't raise hands. Sorry. I just authorized a couple of people to speak if you would like. I guess most of you guys can drop off. I know we're well over time, but it's the nature of these sessions.
Just one question. So is there any way to learn basically through GenAI model? Suppose I'm having few PDFs, I can upload them.
When you say learn, yeah, Notebook LM is the way even I end up learning. When you say learn, do you mean like go through lessons one by one with you kind of thing?
Yeah. Suppose I'm interested in learning supply chain. Okay, and I have a book of an author, and I don't have that much time to go through the book. So just crux of that, I upload that PDF in basically in ChatGPT or Gemini, and then it will explain me everything.
Yeah, so definitely this is in fact how I use Notebook LM and other tools. These days, I just upload the entire PDF and I start with creating an infographic to get a big picture, right? What does this entire thing cover? Then I ask it to create slides so that one slide kind of covers one topic. Now, if you have the time, you would actually take the PDF, break it up into one PDF and select each PDF to generate kind of some outline or course for it. I use a mix of these tools. I'm just sharing from personal experience. We actually, we use audio overviews for quickly generating podcasts for listening so that you can spend 20 minutes listening to the concept. It's very effective when you're driving or walking along or even going to the gym, that you can just hear a podcast and learn a new concept. So that's one. And we actually built a different tool for another company for uploading PDFs and generating sort of courses and lessons and questions and sort of like a Viva mode at the end. That's a semi-enterprise grade solution, but if that's a sort of simple version of that is what you get out of Notebook LM, where you can ask it to create quizzes, you can ask it to create flashcards, infographics, podcast. So the flow is upload whatever, create infographics to get big picture, create audio overviews to listen to the podcast, 20-minute sessions, etc., reports you can read. Slides, again, visualize everything. And at the end, quizzes. So generate quizzes to really test yourself. Yeah.
Okay, that was even I was thinking, but the main pain is to if that's a 1,000-page book, then I have to like break it down to one chapter by chapter, because I have made a single PDF, but for the 1,000-page book, it was creating only 17 or 18 minutes podcast.
It would, so you do have to break it, or you have to prompt saying that, focus only on chapter 1, focus only on chapter 2, like you have that pen icon right at the end, so you can you can try doing that. Again, you are exploring this, you are now, you've jumped off the master ship and you are now taking an even faster ship, exploring the boundaries of what's possible. So please explore, share it in the group, and I'd love to hear how you do.
Sure, thank you so much.
So, thanks so much, Margaret.
Ashby here. Great session, Michelle. Thanks. Quick question. How do you use the output of Canvas? When you create a great output, it looks great out there in Gemini. Then how do I use it on my website? How do I kind of take it there?
So Canvas is, again, it's just meant to be almost like a rough area of working quickly, generating something. So this is ChatGPT's Canvas, and this is Gemini's Canvas. There you go. So it's not meant to directly be hosted on its own. So either you would just copy the code, literally just copy the entire content, and let's say code. I'm just going to save this as a. This is a React code. So I would ideally have to copy this and save this and then upload it onto a site. So you're right, it's a little bit cumbersome at the moment. And often, at least at manager levels, I would just say, I would spend time in tweaking this. Like I can say, select this and change this to something more practical. Let's see what it does. And it'll try to do something, and then I ship it to a developer to either recreate it or then copy the code and upload it. So at a manager level, this is good enough. In ChatGPT, it does actually do one thing slightly better, which is I can preview and I can share the entire canvas as is. And I expect that Gemini will also launch this. So this link I can share with people and get some feedback. If I want, I can embed this onto my site, but it will come with this sort of bar saying, hey, edit with ChatGPT. So again, the similar process would be to copy paste the code or send the link to a developer and say, hey, embed this. So then they will just download the code and copy it onto the site. Okay, that's as of today. That's how it works. There are some other tools which are designed specifically for building websites purely using text. That's a whole different kind of thing.
Okay, so I guess you are not planning to cover vibe coding in this program.
Yeah, I think for at least this audience, this level is decent. I might be coding, but there's a whole science around vibe coding. It's a whole different session.
Okay, I shared Claude Cowork with you during the week. Now that could be a very useful tool for us. So let's say I want to put my income tax thing together, initial assessment kind of thing, put in all the entries. So is there an equivalent in the open source which you can use? Claude Cowork is only for, I guess, Mac OS.
Yeah, it's only for Mac, and it's only for like the top tier sort of heavy. Yeah, they're still testing it. So effectively, what it does is, and I don't think it's production ready yet. That's why it's a research preview. It at a simple level, what it does is on your computer, it scans the list of files, connects to things on your computer, and it pushes that to the cloud, saying that, hey, these are the files I have. What do you want me to do it? So the AI is still running entirely on Claude, etc. It's able to do stuff locally. So that's why they're calling it a research preview. I think there's still some security things they're also trying to figure out, because technically you're uploading a list of all the files on your computer to Claude, which is okay for most people, but again, enterprise level, you don't necessarily want to do that unless you have like an enterprise agreement, etc. But what Claude or Cowork is trying to do, and this is very early stages, is yes, handle the files on your computer, build a context of things that you do on your computer, and run the kind of analysis that would have been, maybe you would have uploaded all the files to Gemini and said, hey, analyze this and then give me the output. It can kind of do it on the files on your computer. It's still early stages. I will probably drop a more detailed review of it in the future. It is still very early for people. I think in the next month or two, there will be a version of this that is a little bit more powerful than what we see. And if you see the journey of things like Notebook LM, like Gemini came a long time back, but Notebook LM kind of compressed that into a very nice tight set of use cases that we as generalists can use. So I see some version of that also happening with Cowork, where you have the power of the entire LLM on the internet, but it down to a couple of key things that it can do locally on your computer. Still early days.
Yeah, no, I saw that there are some equivalents of that for the Windows, like GPT for all. There are 3-4 tools which are similar to Cowork, which already exist actually.
So, okay, is this the one you're talking about?
Yeah, I haven't really used it, so.
So, for example, what I do is, so this is something called local AI. So this is a software called LM Studio, which allows you to run an entire AI model on your laptop. Now you need a lot of RAM for this, and preferably graphics RAM. So like my MacBook has 48 gigabytes of RAM, and that is barely enough for some of the small medium models. But what these models can do is run on your computer, analyze the files on your computer, etc. So if this is the model level, and then there's the application level. Now application level, what Cowork is. Cowork can analyze your files. It can kind of crunch through numbers and give you certain output. Now the similar things, I'm sure now that Cowork has come out, there will be versions of it for others as well. There is another popular system called Open Code, which is again an open source coding agent, but it'll be able to run on your laptop and do tasks, etc. But these are not as polished yet. These are still experiments. Give it another couple of weeks, months. We're only in Jan 18th, 2026. We are kind of in Neanderthals of AI technology right now. So it'll get better over time.
Okay, this looks interesting. Open code, open source AI coding agent. It's a coding agent, is it?
It's a coding agent. It works similar to Claude Code from the ability to code things, but let me just paint you a picture in your mind so that you kind of have an idea of what these are. So effectively, you have your LLM model, which is there at the bottom. So this is your Claude, GPT, etc. Then you have your application level, which is Cowork and Notebook LM. So these are all applications that kind of sit on top of these. Notebook LM runs entirely on the cloud, whilst Cowork runs locally to manage your files, but it connects to Claude to do actual processing. So the entire intelligence goes to the cloud and comes back. And these are very early use cases. Cowork can handle your files, open the files. Every time there's an interesting file, it uploads the entire file to Claude, does the processing, and brings it back to you. So we'll see. I might share a more detailed walkthrough of what it can do, but I'm kind of waiting on like another release before we kind of use it more actively.
Hey, thanks, Vishal. I appreciate that.
All good. All good. Thanks for sharing. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Vishal, this is Jayant. I just want to pick a brief segue. If someone is really looking for like a formal training certification on AI and basically at a leadership level, like strategizing AI in their organization, what kind of institution or the program that you would recommend specific to US market?
US market. I do know from friends at like PwC, they like Harvard's AI course.
Okay.
That seems to be a good formal, well sort of strategic thought process kind of thing. So if that's a thing that you're looking at, I do know from personal anecdotes that is quite well structured. I'll kind of touch upon a slight version of that in the last session in this series. And I'll see if there's anything else that I can think of, I'll let you know. But to the top of my mind, Harvard's AI strategy courses are pretty good as far as I know.
Understood. Okay. And how about in India, actually? Is there like a formal training certification?
Yeah, so the word formal training and certifications are, used interchangeably depending on who you ask. I think I'll check. I do know ISB has some courses on it. Even IIM Bangalore, I believe, has some online courses in that space.
Okay.
I see. I'll let you know. I'll take that as homework and get back to you on that.
Sure. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Great question, by the way.
Thanks.
Okay, I think, is that everybody? If you're done, please, you can disconnect or lower your hands, so then we're done. Okay, I guess I'll call it a wrap then. Thanks so much for people who stuck on. It's been a great session, and great to see a lot of questions at the end, a lot of inquisitiveness. That is definitely the most important skill set / attitude. Keep learning, keep experimenting, keep trying. That's basically me 24/7, and I'm so happy to see you guys pick that up. Cool. I will see you guys online on WhatsApp, and I will see you in this session next week. So have a great Sunday. You've been amazing. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.